Caro. So you are the queen of the Caro. I think we do a deep dive on Lu Miaoyi against Yagiz, both winners of round two, both riding a little mini hot streak. So let's jump in there and let's see what getting this pawn on h5 does. Gain space, but it could be a weakness 25 moves down the road. Are you on the side of it's a weakness because you're a Caro-Kann lover, or different attitude?
It's always a weakness. Okay. I mean, I'm a Caro-Kann lover. I'm always going to spin it in the best way possible. And interestingly enough, I almost had this type of position. And my opponent did something kind of like a knight to a4. And I kind of realized, actually, that the rook on a8, if white ever goes for this expedition with a knight a4, knight b6, in order to kind of pin down that rook on a8, you don't need to worry about it too much. In fact, the pawn on d4 is going to be the target at the best of times. And Black is simply going to be arguing that the minor pieces are actually have a purpose in targeting d4, so the knight can come to e7 and f5. But what we're seeing here is h6 being awarded a question mark, and because of the move that I mentioned, knight to a4. And knight to a4 with the idea of knight b6 is going to be a plan that white has definitely in mind when you play this type of pawn structure.
Yeah, the computer wanted Black to play b6 himself, and you only get one chance to play it because Lu could have shut it down by playing knight a4, but she chose not to, and neither player seems too concerned about this b6 move. Yagiz not playing it, Lu Miaoyi not shutting it down, but again, the computer is insistent. And finally, after running out of developing moves, I don't think that Yagiz wanted to castle because of potential sacrifices on h6. He decides, okay, I got to take up operations on the other side. So forced to play it, I guess. By the process of elimination, he was out of ideas, and he finds the right move with pawn to b6. And Lu Miaoyi has to now deal with that pawn. By the way, we asked all the players before the event, what rule would you change in chess if you could? Now, the under 13 group, they showed a lot of creativity. They said maybe get rid of the en passant rule. Maybe the 50 move rule should be the 25 move rule, which, by the way, would make the bishop and knight checkmate crazy. These players are chess players. Almost none of these players offered up anything when we asked them this quite silly question. The only player that offered up anything creative was that Henry Tudor said, once per game, your pawn should be allowed to move backward. Okay, that's kind of crazy. We're not going to do that today. I think these players show more creativity at the board. But with all that being said, the knight hops to c5. That looks like a pretty strong knight. But why would the computer favor Black here, Yovi? You're the Caro player. Please explain.
Yeah, and it's primarily because of the weakness on d4, something that you kind of highlighted earlier on. And now that Black has broken out, you see when white goes on the whole full frontal attack of just taking as much space as possible, you have to break out, otherwise you're just going to get squashed. And this is primarily why you needed to go b6. You needed to break out either with e5, b6 has been done, and d4 is just a little bit soft. And where is white going to hide the king? You know, probably going to have to hide it on g2 at some point. I'm always worried about the king. There's one thing that my commentary career has taught me is always take care of that piece. And now we're going to even see direct threats of knight takes d4 as well, because the knight on c5 is a little bit sensitive. So king safety and also some tactical issues with c5 being weak. And sure enough, the blue arrow appears.
Yeah, you're faster than the blue arrow. I was going to say, you spotted knight takes d4 even before the computer. Of course, the computer was hamstrung by making sure it was Black's turn. But knight takes d4, I'm pretty sure that Yagiz is going to spot such a move. I mean, let's take a look. Yagiz's blitz rating on chess.com is, just 3149, no big deal. So I think this is not a 3149 tactic. I think we're going to see knight takes, and then that disconnects the queen's protection. Let's actually show that on the board, because Yagiz is strangely taking some time here. We have knight takes. White must take back with the knight unless there's some kind of crazy knight sacrifice with the other knight, and then simply queen takes, and there we go. It's a pawn. It's also a really bad pin on this knight. This bishop is coming to life as we speak. Let's go back to the live game. We expect him to find it, and if we take a look, he does play it. Double exclaim from the computer, and now we are in the live position for knight takes e6. Okay, the idea is if you take the queen, there will be an in-between move with knight c7, but apparently that in-between move does not save the day, because when the king moves, this is a live position, the rook moves, and after all of that, the knight is trapped. Who saw this coming? And we are in our live position with this helpless knight waiting to get captured.
Yes, and you did see Yaz just nodding the head there as he spotted the consequences of that particular tactic. Yeah, the knight is just simply trapped, and then they're going to be seeing a trade where black will have two pieces and white just has the rook. And the key is that the two pieces actually now will have a target. The pawn on b4 is weak. The pawn on e3 is also weak. And Lu Miaoyi, she'll have to fight really hard if she wants to survive this one. And Lu Miaoyi, you mentioned earlier that we had asked players some questions. Well, one thing that impressed me about her is that her favorite player is Wang Yue. So I did wonder, maybe Wang Yue is actually helping her. Maybe he's a coach of some sort.
Could be. We'll get our reporter on the ground in China to investigate that. But look at what he's doing. He's blocking all rook invasions. He's even blocking this pawn to come to b5 because he wants to win both of those pawns and have an outside pass pawn. So he is playing a perfect endgame here. Look at this. Every single square on the c file is being attacked. I can't even highlight them fast enough. And this is the key. You don't want to let that rook get any open lines or any invasions. So I really love his conversion technique. He's only got 2 seconds left, but he can also make moves really quickly now. I would love to see a bishop and knight mate. It's not going to happen, though. There's too many pawns on the board. Okay, the rook did get an invasion, but all the pawns are falling down, and the rook hangs.
Oh,
and that means
and the rook hangs.
Yeah. Yours wins.
Yes.